Hello and welcome to this week's Granny's Garden. This week we're going to be having a look at how to prune Forsythia. The first question is always when? When do I prune my Forsythia? Well, Forsythia blooms on old wood, so if you don't want to lose all those beautiful spring flowers, you need to do it just when the flowers are fading. You can see here that all these flowers are now brown and faded, and the leaves have started to sprout. So this is the time to start, and the window for pruning is about 3 at the most 4 weeks from this stage. Because once pruned, these guys are going to need the whole growing season to set those beautiful flower buds all along the entire length of the branch that are going to become this beautiful sight you see every spring. Now the next question is, what tools do you need to prune the Forsythia? And this is usually when things start to go very, very pear-shaped. I'm going to be using today secateurs, loppers, and on standby I have my pruning saw. Now I'm warning you, I have really strong opinions on what tools need to be used for this job and also how to prune your Forsythia. So I'm going to show you what you don't want to use, and I'm certainly going to crawl through that camera and get you if you even think about taking them out of your tool shed. Number 1 on the don't list is hedge clippers. And number 2 on the hate list for this job are electric hedge clippers. This is a no-no. Never, ever, ever. Got it? Forsythias have beautiful, natural arching stems between 8 to 10 feet tall. If you don't have room in your garden for a shrub that's 8 to 10 feet tall, please don't plant this one. There are loads of other alternatives that you can contain height-wise. This is not one of them. Forsythias only have interest in the spring. After that, they're a normal-looking shrub. For the whole month they bloom, they're absolutely stunning in the garden. People tend to hack them back. Worse still, put them as hedges. They are not apt for hedges. They need to be on their own and they need to be wild and free. And some people even prune them into tables. Forsythias are virtually pest-free. They take care of themselves and they don't ask for anything except for one thing, a pruning once a year. And that'll ensure that it doesn't become wild, unruly and a big ugly thicket. So let's get to the job. Now the very first thing I do is get rid of all these horizontal branches. Forsythia propagate really easily, and this is why they get so thick. As soon as one of these branches touches the ground, at the point of contact it immediately forms a root, and that root is going to send up vertical stems and you're going to have yet another Forsythia bush, and so on and so forth until you have a massive thicket. So the very first thing I'm going to do is remove all of these horizontal branches at ground level. Now the next thing I need to do is get rid of all of these crossing branches or branches that are growing into the centre and are congesting everything. The first thing, obviously, your DDDs, dead disease damage, they always come away. This one is dead, that's going to come out. And then we're going to be looking for anything that's crossing, rubbing, or growing towards the centre of the bush and congesting it. So this one that's dead, that's coming out straight away. This one is crossing, and always cut them at the base. There's another dead one down here. Now these ones definitely crossing, we don't want that. It is really important, it is really important when you are pruning back Forsythia that you prune it back right flush against the branch and don't leave any type of stub, because it has this really annoying habit of sending out little pom-poms of tiny branches, or twiggery as I like to call it. And if you don't cut it flush, you're going to get pom-pom, 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 and a mass of these thicket twigs, which I don't like at all. Flush against the branch and it won't resprout. Now, can you see how these ones are crossing? They're going straight behind this other branch. So all of these are going to be taken right back, right to the base. That's a lot better. This one behind is growing towards the centre of the bush. You don't want that. So we're going to remove that. At the moment it's just a little bit here, a little bit there, because you're going to see that we're going to do something a lot more drastic in a few minutes. So at the moment it's just anything that's really sticking out into your eye that it's crossing or rubbing or shouldn't be there. We're going to get back to this touching up later, but now we need to go for the major prune. The next thing I'm going to do is remove 25% of the older stems of this bush. That way I'm doing two things. On the one hand, I'm decongesting the centre of the tree, which is going to let in more light and let air circulate, so I'm maintaining the health of the tree. And also I'm reducing height in the only way you can do it with the Forsythia. The older branches tend to be the taller branches, so by removing the taller branches you are, in actual fact, reducing the height of the tree without hacking it or destroying it. Now this particular shrub has about 8 to 9 branches, so I'm going to be removing 2 of them. 2 of the older branches. Now the ones I think I'm going to do is this one, because it's right in the centre and what most congests the centre of this shrub. And the other one I think is going to be this one. I'm going to be taking out this one. It's old and also it's already rubbing with this one, which is a beautiful, vigorous, strong stem or branch, or whatever you want to call it. For me, the Forsythia is more like a series of branches than trunks, especially when you maintain it every year in its juvenile state. It's always got this nice willowy type of branch, and I sort of like don't consider it a trunk unless it's sort of like gnarly and old and woody. Anyway, I digress. We're going to be taking out this one, and then we're going to have a look. Maybe I'll take out one more, I don't know. First of all, you need to look. So let's get cracking. Now, this one I'll probably be able to do with a lopper. This one is probably going to need a saw. Anyway, let's get moving. And the second one I'm going to take out is this one. And there's Boston barking away. Not a good angle. Get in from the other side. I don't want to damage the side branches. Perfect angle here. Okay, as near to the ground as you possibly can without kneeling on the other branches. Yep. Need to get a bit of heft to this one. There we go. Hit the camera on the way down. Sorry about that. Now you'll see how all of the centre of this shrub is now decongested, and there's a lot of what remains are these young, green, vigorous stems that grew last year. And don't be afraid thinking, oh my goodness, I've removed too much. These branches are from last year. And as you can see, there are small little branches growing up from the very, very base of the shrub that are going to grow up during this growing season and become these new ones. And that'll enable me next year to come along and take out this old stem right back to the base. That way I'm always maintaining my tree young and juvenile. I'm going to have these lovely willowy type branches instead of gnarly wood, and that way I'm going to ensure that I have flowers the whole length of the branch. The next thing I need to do is thin out the canopy. Now this particular one doesn't need that much because it tends to have these like whip-like branches, which is what I've trained it to do. I'm going to be taking out this one that's going over there, because some people do like a more open type of Forsythia. I prefer a vessel type one, so for me I'm going to be removing that one. And for instance here, there's far too much twigs going on here, far too much congestion. So I'm going to be taking out a lot of these branches and also the ones that are out of shape for me. Need the loppers. This has got to go right back to the base. And the base is quite thick. Now the canopy is still a little bit congested for me, so I'm going to go ahead now and remove some of the branches right back to the parent branch and just thin it out a little bit more, and that'll be job done. Now I'm just removing some of these other branches that have flowered last year, just to decongest the centre a little bit. And possibly some more of these. Right, well that's the pruning of the Forsythia done for this year, and because I've literally rejuvenated it, I'm going to have on these nice soft willowy branches. Next year, when all these leaves fall off, I'm going to have along the bare branch every few centimetres, as they have here, like last year, every few centimetres, literally every inch and a half, I'm going to have big thick flower buds that go right from the very tip, without hitting my head, right from the very tip, right down to the base of the branch. Flowers along the entire length of the branch, which is where you want it. Whip-like branches. But what happens if you buy a house that's got an old, thick thicket of a forsythia that's absolutely hideous? Well, in that case, and only in that case, what I would do is cut it right back to the ground, just leaving 6 inches, and then literally start from scratch. Within a couple of years, you're going to have a shrub again, but you need to watch out for 2 things. First of all, when it is at this 6-inch stage, take advantage of having better visibility. And you've seen in the beginning of this video how I said that any horizontal branches, where they touch, they propagated. So you're going to have a parent plant and probably maybe 10 or 20 other plants. So take advantage of this phase and dig up all the ones you don't want and leave only those that have got sufficient room to grow or that you actually want in your garden. The next thing is, because this has been let get unruly and it's completely thicket-like, when it starts to grow, all the branches are going to start to grow. So when you prune it for that first year and that second year, the 25% rule isn't going to hack it. You're probably going to need to take out about 30% of the old stems each year until you get this lovely, airy, light shape, vessel shape that you're looking for in a forsythia. Now there's just one last thing I want to say. In normal pruning, the normal yearly pruning you do in your forsythia every year, use your gardener's instinct. The 25% is just a guide. If you see that you've got their forsythia under control and that if you've removed just maybe 1 stem or even just a couple of stems, it might be 10, 15% of the old stems, and you've got a nice rejuvenated bush that's open, that's airy, the light is getting in, the air is circulating, and it's got the lovely shape, and not all the branches are old and gnarly, but you're getting these lovely willowy type shapes, then stop. You've done your job for that year. Put your gardening tools away. I hope you really have enjoyed this video and you now have confidence to go out and prune your own forsythias, and above all keep them blooming beautifully for years and years to come. And I'll see you here next Friday in Granny's garden. Bye bye now. And I'm going to leave you with what's beautiful in the garden this week, and it has to be those ballerina tulips again. Is there anything more beautiful than those ballerina tulips with the sun behind them? Absolutely gorgeous. See you next Friday. Bye.